So you're Tyrone Crittendon.
Right.
And when were you born and who were your parents?
I born right in Ozark, April 4th, 1948. Mary and Harvey Crittendon are my parents.
Harvey Crittendon. And okay, now I saw something on the record. Do you know who your grandfather is, who his daddy was?
I don't know nobody on my father's side.
I think I know who he was.
Yeah.
I think his name was Cincinnati Crittendon.
Say that again?
Cincinnati Crittendon. Or is he? Because, well, let me tell you how our tree works. My grandmother, her father's name was Levi.
Right.
He had 15 or 16 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Levi's dad, his name was Richard Crittendon. He had about 10 brothers and sisters. And his father's name was Frank and Dicey. Now, Frank and Dicey, they lived in Daleville.
Right.
Daleville?
Right, yeah. I live around Manhattan. Manhattan and Daleville, the same thing.
Okay, well, you know, there was 12 pioneers, Crittendon, black guys. 12 came from Georgia. In 1860, they came with this old white man, and they had slave houses in Georgia. And so in 1866, after the war, there was 12 families who took on the name Crittendon, and one of them was Frank.
Okay.
Frank Crittendon then had a wife named Dicey. The first child was Richard, which was the father of Levi, which is the father of Louise. Now, Richard and Dicey had about 12 kids, but I think when Richard got married to Elvira in 1889, he left Daleville and went up to Ozark and left the rest of the family. So that's kind of how come the communication, because that was really Daleville was more country than Ozark.
Right.
Well, what happened was he homesteaded 80 acres. It's now over by the golf course on Fort Rooker.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I know about that, yeah.
When'd you find out about that?
I've been knowing about that since I was 9.
No! Who told you that?
That's my daddy.
What did he tell you?
Him and daddy's uncle. Daddy and them had property out there. Uncle Amy. So they took it. So they took the property.
Who took it?
I guess the government or the people.
So who told you? Your daddy told you that, Harvey? He said daddy had the property?
Yeah.
You are the first person in the family. I've got all the records. We had a judge speak at our reunion on the weekend.
Man, I knew him.
For family history records, you want to get 2 documents, but you also want oral history to confirm it. You have just given me the confirmation that I needed. Nobody else knew about it because, see, our side of the family didn't really know much about that side.
Right.
So your daddy, Harvey, said his daddy had the land. It's now...
Uncle Amy had a farm out there. They took that from him. They beat him and some kind of charge or something.
Where's your daddy's buried out there somewhere, isn't he? Where's your daddy buried?
My daddy over there traveling rest.
And what about Ammon? Where's he buried?
I don't know. My sister could tell you that.
Oh, your sisters?
I ain't got one sister alive. She out in Colorado. But May could tell you.
What's her name?
May.
And May, who did she marry?
Bob.
Bob?
Bob.
Wow, so, because no one knew, because I was out there, I'm going to go back out there today, I left my gallery out there at the museum, but the property was 80 acres. You know how they say blacks were supposed to get 40 acres in a mule? Well, our grandfather said, I don't want the mule, give me 40 more acres. So he got 80 acres of land.
Okay.
And then what happened was, they bought all that property up during the Depression.
Okay.
The P River Society, the Historical Society, and then they made Camp Rooker.
Yeah.
And then it became Fort Rooker.
Right.
Wow. So your father, so Harvey was your father, and he said that his daddy owned that land. Now I believe either your daddy, if he was born in 1917.
I think Papa was born in 1903, something like that.
1903. So that means Frank, yeah, so, okay.
Well, new recollection, you know.
About 1903.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because Frank didn't die, that means Frank was probably your dad, your grandfather. Because, see, he didn't die until like 1915, 17. This is your father's.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to have his picture. I'm gonna take this picture. Now, Brendel, remember I told you about the 88? He said his father said his daddy owned that land. That's the first person I ever knew that knew about that. He said his grandfather, his daddy told him that his daddy, they took the land. Wow. So this is, what I'm going to do is CD for everybody. I done made myself another project.